hates claims when insurance companies use computer software to review your claim. I'm here today with California trial lawyer Mark C. Blane, who also happens to be co-author of the best-selling book Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Mark is a solo practicing attorney who specializes in personal injury law in downtown San Diego. We're really excited to have you on today's program, Mark.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Now, before we go and get into some of this information, I wanted you to just tell everyone on the call a little bit about your background and why you chose to get into personal injury law.
Well, it's a funny story. I actually knew going into law school that I wanted to represent injured folk instead of corporate interest. You know, I wanted to be able to look my clients in the eyes instead of defending a faceless corporate entity, if you will. So now I find myself up against some of the largest insurance companies in the United States, in addition to some of the most respectful defense firms throughout California.
That's a really great story, and, you know, we all like to have the little guy on our side and to help the little guy out, and, you know, accidents happen. They happen all the time, especially on the roadways, and I'm sure it happens a lot on the California freeway system. And I wanted to kickstart this entire series by talking about what happens at that point when you get into an accident and what happens after you get into that accident. So what are some of the proper procedures to follow at this point, no matter the fault of the accident?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, if anyone's injured, obviously call 911 and get medical help right away. That's the first thing anyone should do. The second thing I always advocate for my clients or anyone out there in the community is that you should always get the name and address of any witnesses as soon as possible. This is very, very important, as some people panic or become forgetful after an accident, and sometimes the police they don't get all the witness information in the report. I've seen a lot of reports from the police officers that were incomplete and, you know, not a good job. But, you know, a lot of times the police officers out there do a good job, but you should be proactive and get all the witnesses as soon as possible. Do it quickly. Because it's hard to track down reliable witnesses at a later date. Also, it's very, very common for people to move and relocate frequently, and it's important to get on that right away. Also, keep in mind, if you wait too long, witnesses may not be cooperative or they may not have an accurate memory of the accident. But I always say that, you know, with the advent of technology, nowadays most people have a cell phone with either a camera mode or video mode or both. And so make sure you take pictures of the vehicle locations. If we're talking about a car accident, take pictures of the driver's license information. Take pictures of witnesses. Getting information is very important and key in order to getting your legal rights protected in the future. So that would be the second thing I would recommend. Third, I would say get the at-fault party's full information, including driver's license and insurance information. Use your cell phone if you have it. If not, use a disposable camera. Keep it in the glove box if you don't have a cell phone. Also, I've actually now have clients taking video on their cell phones of the accident scene, which is great. I mean, this involves car accidents, slip and falls. Sometimes people slip on a hazardous substance, so they're able to now take video of the evidence that caused their injury. Fourth, I would say get medical care and speak with an experienced injury lawyer. I will say that not every injury case will necessarily need a lawyer, but every injury, no matter how minor, deserves good legal counsel. So definitely get yourself to an experienced injury lawyer at some point after you get the information that we just spoke about. Also, number 5, I would say, it's never a good idea to speak with the insurance adjuster or investigator before contacting an experienced lawyer. The only narrow possible exception to that would be, you know, if it's a minor accident or there was very little to no medical care, then that would be fine. But again, I still recommend you speak to an experienced lawyer, you know, no matter how minor, just so you can make an informed decision on your injury case. Number 6, do not accept a quick settlement from the insurance company on your own. There are many insurance companies out there that will try to pay you a quick settlement before you speak with an experienced lawyer. They do this for several reasons, and none of them are in your best interest, in my opinion. First, they want you to accept less than the true value of your injury case and have you release them from paying any other settlement in the future. So this doesn't benefit, this benefits them, not you. Second, they sometimes want you to sign away your rights before you know how serious your injuries are, how long they'll take to heal, and if future medical care or treatment's even needed. So I always tell them, you know, be careful on that. And don't be tricked when the insurance company says they'll pay for future medical care when they put a close date at some future time. This type of settlement talk is just misleading, and again, it only benefits them, not you. So those are my tips. Those are the things a person should do, no matter what the accident is, regardless of fault, just to protect their legal rights.
Those are some really great and interesting points, and I love that you pointed out some of the digital proof, let's call it, of the accident and of the events with cell phones and taking the pictures and the videos. And now, at what point do you kind of expose that to either your lawyer or to the insurance company?
I like to do that early on, just to set up the foundation of what's to come, especially if there's a lot of medical care that's needed. So, for example, I had a recent case, auto accident case, where my client had video proof of the accident scene before the vehicles were moved. So there was no police report. So effectively, the video became the evidence, or the, if you will, police report, which we're able to secure liability early on, to make sure we have that, and then we can move forward with the medical care because he didn't have private health insurance. So that was really beneficial that he had that cell phone, the advent of technology, if you will, to help him in his particular accident case. So I do it early on, depending on the circumstances. With slip and falls, really great because, when you slip and fall on a hazardous or slippery substance, a lot of times there's no witnesses to a slip and fall or trip and fall accident. So the camera mode with video option is really great to secure all that evidence, especially the spill that caused the accident before they clean it up. So that's always good stuff.
That was an excellent explanation, because I think there are a lot of misconceptions with all the digital technology and things that are out there. So now let's assume that we're in a worst case scenario, that we sustain substantial injuries at the accident at the fault of another driver or another party, and we were maybe escorted to the hospital, or we weren't able to talk with law enforcement and things like that. What necessary steps should we take at this point in the States, because maybe we missed that initial accident report on the scene and things of that nature?
Yeah, it's good. I always advocate making sure you're okay medically. I'm gonna say seek medical care immediately, because if there's any slight gap in medical care from the point that you're taken from the hospital until you start consistent physical therapy for your injuries, that gap period, I call it, is always open to attack by the defense. So to answer the question, I would say definitely seek consistent and effective medical care as soon as possible. And a good lawyer can help you get medical care if you don't have private health insurance. But that's real important. I've had many cases, Greg, over the years where the insurance companies look for opportunities to defend a case, and the big one that they try to do is the gap in care. And, of course, a lot of times any gap in care is really just an illusion, because a lot of times what injured folk try to do is they hope that their injuries do get better, and they'll self-medicate, they'll guard their bodies, they'll take off time from work earlier than usual or stay in bed longer than usual. That's all active care. That's everything that they're doing to participate in their own recovery. So when they do get the medical care, I always tell my clients, make sure you tell the docs that you did this actively before seeing the doctor that day. Self-medication, taking off work earlier than usual, hoping your symptoms would get better. All of that is active care, and it will help eliminate any future defense argument on any gaps of medical care. So consistent medical care right away is key to protecting you both not only medically but legally later on.
That was really good information, because there are a lot of situations where you're uncertain of what to do, and I think that gave them a really good blueprint of what to do in the event of an accident. Now, a lot of this course is going to focus around settlements and ensuring that you get the right payout from the insurance companies during one of these accidents. So right. I wanted to kind of kickstart the conversation by talking about the different types of payments or settlements that one might be able to acquire or attain from hiring a lawyer and going after an insurance company.
Yeah, a good experienced injury attorney can do a lot of beneficial things for an injured person from an accident. First of all, the attorney will know what to put in the demand package when the client is done with all medical care, because this is what he or she does every day. Secondly, the attorney will know what the settlement value range should be or is once all medical care is completed. The attorney will know whether or not it's productive to file a lawsuit on any particular injury case before, during, or even after negotiations have begun on the case. So with this insight, an attorney is really, really beneficial. What we'll talk about today, of course, is the computer programs and how an experienced lawyer with the computer programs that the insurance companies are using can really, really, really protect an injured person and protect their legal interests.
That's great, and that kind of leads into my next question, which is how do the insurance companies determine the settlement amounts, and what is the responsibility of the claims adjuster in these cases?
Absolutely. Yeah. Settlement value today on a given personal injury case is driven by a strict formula of evidence-based medical documentation. Effectively, the insurance company claims adjuster reviews all the injuries in the medical chart notes, which are dictated by an ICD-9 code, and, of course, all the modalities or types of medical care, which are dictated by a CPT code. Then the claims adjuster looks at the intensity, frequency, and duration of the medical care, and that is reviewed in relationship to the age and weight of the injured party. Then the adjuster looks at the property damage to both vehicles, if the accident were an auto-related accident, and then any wage loss claims, duties earned duress, lost enjoyment of life evidence is also analyzed. And then whether, at the end of all medical care, whether or not there is a permanent impairment to a particular body part appropriately documented under the AMA, which is the American Medical Association guidelines. The responsibility of the claims adjuster is to make sure all medical evidence is properly identified, reviewed, and evaluated. The responsibility of the lawyer is to make sure the claims adjuster has done so, and if not, file a lawsuit and ask a jury to do so.
I think that's really good information to understand as an injury victim, to see the big picture of what's going on during their case. There's a lot of moving parts, and there's also just the recovery time of the person injured. So as we start to wrap up part one, I really encourage everyone listening or watching today to print out the action guide and go ahead and, as Mark goes over some of these questions, start to write down some of the answers as they might pertain to a case that you have already begun, or just so you have the knowledge for the future, or maybe a family member or a friend who's going through a similar situation, so that you can take action, so you can find the right legal firm or law firm or take the right action steps in these cases. Now, as we move on into part two of this program, we're going to be talking about a little bit more about how the insurance companies determine these settlement amounts through software programs. So again, make sure you guys are going through the action book. Thanks for listening to part one, and we'll see you guys real soon in part two.